I'm Amy Stuart Wells, and I am a professor of sociology and education at Teachers College at Columbia University. I think because the work that I've done in the past has shown the relationship between inequality and segregation, but it's also shown the problems with the ways in which we've tried to change that, to desegregate students, and that the policies that we implemented in the past had many, many problems with them. And so the question is, does that mean we abandon the goal, or do we reevaluate what we should do moving forward? And I think there's enough social science research to suggest that abandoning the goal of somehow ameliorating the very stark racial segregation and inequality in this country is probably not a good idea. And not only that, it's pretty clear to me in the research that I've been doing recently that there's no way we'll ever achieve any of the goals that we do espouse now and focus on in educational policy around accountability and standards and all kids achieving the high standards if we ignore not only the context in which kids are being educated, but the impact of separateness and unequalness on that effort. Now, 84% of the segregation in this country is between districts and not within for students. So that's why we are studying Long Island in Nassau County, which is one of the most fragmented counties in America, not just in terms of school districts, but also in terms of municipalities. And we're trying to understand how in a county that's 220 square miles wide, you have 56 autonomous school districts that are completely segregated by race and class, and how we've allowed this to happen. And then looking at boundaries, it's really a study of boundary lines. So both physical boundaries or legal boundaries of districts, but also what we're calling symbolic boundaries of the way in which people make sense of those places and identify with them or not, and then perpetuate the segregation. So trying to kind of understand that better in the hopes of trying to find a point of intervention. The idea of starting a school that draws kids across boundary lines or that celebrates diversity and tries to think about how do we make a good democratic integrated school is, I think, a very exciting idea. And people who have engaged in that kind of reform have done some amazing things at the school and the community level. So, but I think it also requires change at the state level in terms of the policies and the way they're constructed, and thinking about ways to support people who want to do that, because it's not easy given the housing segregation to create those kinds of schools without transportation and other kinds of support. I think we do need to focus on housing policies, and we do need to think about ways in which the federal governments and state governments can support communities that are trying to work on these issues. I think the most important thing is that we change the framing of the problem and the way we talk about it. Because to talk about school desegregation, it connotes these images of the buses in Boston, and we're not going to go back to those policies. We're just not. I mean, the courts aren't going to take us there, and the way people think about local control, I mean, it just wouldn't happen today. And as I said, most of the problem is across district lines now. So we have to come up with a new way of framing the issues.